So Brian.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Brian McIntosh, Vice President of Operations with Northern Business Intelligence. Welcome to our webinar. Today, we're going to be spending some time talking about embedded telematics. Really glad that everybody could join us today. I know there's still some people signing in, but we're going to get rolling. It's the top of the hour. And as you may have heard as you were joining, we are recording today's session. And as we jump into the session, happy to share a few things. One, we're going to have everybody on mute throughout the presentation. We would encourage everyone to use the chat and the Q&A features at the bottom of your screen. If you have any questions, we're going to have plenty of time towards the end of the presentation to go through any questions you might have. And if for some reason we run out of time, we'll make sure we answer all the questions after the fact and we'll send them out. When we're done, we will send out a copy of this presentation, the recording, and then any questions that we may not get to during today's session. All of the attendees from today's session will be entered for a draw for one of these very nice Yeti tumblers. So we'll have this. We'll do that draw towards the end of the at the end of the presentation, and we'll let everybody know who's won by email. We have 10 Yeti tumblers to give away today. We're also going to be sending out a short survey to all of the attendees today. So we thank you in advance to give us your thoughts on today's session and any questions we don't get to. So today I'm going to spend about 30 to 40 minutes or so going through some of the material today. And we really want to give you some high-level information about embedded telematics and the different solutions that are available to you. And we're going to leave a lot of time at the end to go through questions. And really, we want to spend some time talking between the benefits of how the embedded telematics solution might be suitable for you and your fleet. And we're also going to compare it a little bit to the Geotab solution and who may be using that today. If there's any information you need after today's session, we encourage everybody to go to our website at northernbi.com, and we'll be happy to answer any additional questions you might have. Now, many of the folks on the call today are already existing Geotab clients, so thank you for joining us, and we appreciate your business. For those of you who may not be familiar with Geotab, we've been a Geotab reseller for a long time. We're really proud to be a Geotab reseller. It's a world-class hardware and software platform and provides a fantastic telematics solution for clients. So we are going to be spending some time today talking a little bit about Geotab and how it compares to the embedded telematics solution we're going to talk a little bit about today. At the core of Geotab's product offering is the Go device. And as you can see in the picture here, the Geotab Go device is really that key piece of the puzzle. And we actually have a sample of a real Go device. You can see it's actually a fairly small form factor. And this is really the core of the hardware solution that Geotab offers. Combining that with their world-class fleet management software solution provides an excellent telematics solution for clients. And we're going to really talk about how these two products can work together and how it may work best for you as we move forward. A little bit about us. We've been working with clients in North America since about 2008, and we're a Geotab reseller, and that's kind of what we do. We have a lot of deep expertise in telematics, and we've been happy to share that with clients for a long time. Really proud of our customer retention rate. We have over a 95% customer retention rate, and clients have really been telling us over the years they really appreciate our hands-on approach to onboarding, training, implementation, and they continue to come back and tell us that they really appreciate that approach. We've been a top global Geotab reseller for many, many years, and happy to share some of the experiences that we've had with you and this new product. All right, let's get into the main event. Again, for those clients who are on the call who may not be super familiar with telematics, I just want to share a couple of brief points and really talking about how telematics really allows users to combine vehicle data with the onboard diagnostics or the information provided by the vehicle itself and see all of that data on a computerized or digitized map. That's essentially the fundamental core of what telematics is. So it allows users to see all of that data in one place and use it to help drive their business. What's interesting, and the interesting trend over the last few years, is we're seeing a lot of the original equipment manufacturers, or the vehicle manufacturers that many of us know today, like Ford, General Motors, and others, are actually building this telematics equipment directly into the vehicle itself. And they're then making that information available to users. So this is where Geotab comes in. So Geotab, which I already mentioned, has a world-class fleet management software and hardware product, then is working and partnering with many of the suppliers that you see on the slide below, are actually pulling in that data from those embedded telematics solution and allowing users to use that in the Geotab fleet management software. And the benefit is huge. So clients such as yourselves can use multiple hardware platforms, including the Geotab product, along with one powerful software platform. And the benefits that that can provide are pretty immense. As I mentioned on the slide, are a number of the embedded solutions that Geotab has in place today. They're continuing to add new partnerships regularly. We're not going to talk about every single partnership today and every single solution, but just know that the list is growing every single day. I did want to spend a few minutes going through some of the key embedded solutions that are out there. And I want to give everybody on the webinar today some specific information that you can take back and to consider whether or not the vehicles you have in your fleet might be eligible for the embedded solution. Each one of the manufacturers that we work with has some additional steps that they may ask clients to follow to make sure that they can turn on and use the embedded solution in their database. Happy to say that NBI is here to help. We have a lot of information and we can help clients step through that product. So in no particular order, starting with the Ford solution. So the Ford solution is available on most 2019 and newer Ford models. And if you're not quite sure if your vehicles would meet that list, if you want to provide a list of vehicle VINs to NBI, we can actually work and confirm which of your vehicles are eligible. There are a few little steps that you have to follow with Ford. Geotab has put together some really excellent material and guides to take clients through that process on what they need to do to basically ensure that they have that Ford solution turned on. Follow those few basic steps, connect with NBI, and we can have the solution up and running in a short period of time. For General Motors, the vehicles go back to vehicles that are from 2015 and newer, and it's most of the models that are available in North America. One key difference on the General Motors solution is only US and Canadian vehicles that have a valid fleet account number or FAN are eligible for the solution. So if you're not sure if you have a fleet account number, check with other members of your organization or with your local GM provider. Again, if you want to provide a list of your VINs that are available, you can send those over to NBI and we can actually help you validate which vehicles you have that may contain the embedded solution. Again, like Ford, there are some additional steps that need to be followed. NBI can help step you through those. Geotab has provided some additional documentation here on GM's e-sign agreement, or for vehicles that you would have to follow the OnStar process. And we can share all that information with users as we move through the process. For clients who might be interested in heavy-duty vehicles, there are some additional solutions available, and we want to share a little bit on the Volvo and the Max solution. As you can see here, most select 2015 and newer models for the Volvo and the Mac. As you see listed here, the VNL, VNR, VNX, VHD, and VAH models for Volvo are eligible, and Pinnacle, Granite, and Anthem on the Mac side are eligible. Key requirement here for using the Volvo Max solution is the vehicles need to be warranty registered with a Volvo dealer in order to be able to make that connection between the vehicle and Geotab. One other interesting point that I'd share with anybody who may be on the call today, if you are using, if your vehicles are traveling into the US and you have a requirement to provide hours of service, the solution from Volvo and Mac and Geotab is compliant against the US FMCSA regulations for hours of service, or ELD, as some people may know it. Similarly, for international, another heavy-duty vehicle manufacturer, most 2019 and newer vehicles of the LT, RH, and Lone Star models are eligible. Again, provide a list of VINs to MBI, and we can actually work with you to confirm if your vehicle has the eligible solution. Again, this solution from International and Geotab is compliant against the US FMCSA regulations. And if you have any other questions about ELD, we can answer those as well. Finally, the last manufacturer I was going to share today is John Deere. For clients who are using John Deere equipment in their operation, there is opportunity to leverage that information inside of your Geotab solution as well. Clients must have a John Deere active machine subscription, and you also need to have a JD linked credentials. And if you're not sure, you can check with your local John Deere dealer and confirm whether or not you have access to that information. And similarly to what we talked about on some of the other solutions, if you want to provide a list of your VINs or the serial numbers for your John Deere equipment, we can actually work with you and confirm which of your vehicles would be eligible. All right. So what are clients telling us about why they're using and interested in the embedded telematics solution? Primarily, the biggest advantage that clients tell us today is that there's no device or hardware installation. As we talked about at the beginning of the presentation, because these manufacturers are building this equipment directly into the vehicle, you don't have to buy any additional hardware. If the vehicle comes with the hardware and the solution is eligible, you can simply turn it on and work with the manufacturer and MBI to make sure that that's available to you. So there's no additional hardware that you need to look at. Given the fact that the equipment is already built into the vehicle, with a few of the steps we talked about earlier, turning around and activating the solution can be a matter of hours. So it can mean turning around that solution is very quick. And really one of the greatest advantages that clients have been talking to us about is the fact that given the equipment is already in the vehicle, they don't need to take those vehicles off the road to do any additional installs, which really reduces your vehicle downtime and makes your fleet far more efficient. So that's sort of the key benefits of the embedded solution itself. Combining the embedded solution with a Geotab solution basically means you get to use all of the interesting and rich data coming from the embedded solution along with Geotab's rich, powerful software product. And really the key advantage for a lot of our clients who are already using Geotab today, if you want to use the embedded solution, there's no additional training time that you need because the software is all the same. So for our clients, again, you get to use multiple hardware solutions, but using one software solution. So for our clients who are already using Geotab, there's nothing new to learn. All of the same reports and logins and interface that they're familiar with are still there available today. And finally, as the last point on the slide talks about, because the solution is built directly into the vehicle, the opportunity for tampering is much reduced. It's harder to get at the equipment. It's built directly into the vehicle, and there's far less chance that there can be tampering by a driver or operator. So which one makes sense? When should you use the OEM embedded solution? When would you use the Geotab Go device solution? A lot of our clients are using both, and that's one of the great opportunities that we have here. As we talked about on the previous slide, using an embedded solution can save you significant time and a lot of fleet downtime, as well as avoiding capital costs because the equipment is already built into the vehicle. However, if you're already using Geotab, or if your vehicles, or if you have additional needs, advanced needs, then the Geotab solution may provide additional benefits for you. So some of the things that existing clients may be familiar with today, and we're happy to talk to new clients as well. There's lots of expansion opportunities for the Geotab Go device. They have a wide range of Geotab's iOX technology, which allows you to connect the Geotab Go device to other equipment, including such things as dash cameras and other sensors. Geotab also has a rich and freely available software development kit, or SDK, that they make available to clients and they can use as part of their Geotab solution. If you need more data and even more advanced data, then the Geotab GO device provides even additional features above and beyond what some of the embedded solutions may provide for you. Geotab has a very advanced curve algorithm and accelerometer built directly into the device, provides additional rich data about how the device and vehicle are being used. If you operate a different kind of fleet, a client that may be using vehicles for public works, winter operations, snow clearance, there's additional solutions from Geotab that may be eligible for you as well. So at the end of the day, what I would say is, what is your need? How can Geotab help you? How can the GO device help you? How can an embedded solution help you? And in some cases, all of those things together can work together and give you a great solution. So why would you work with MDI? We've been at this for a bunch of years, and while you can engage different OEM dealerships, we take a really hands-on approach to our clients and their implementations. Again, we've been doing this for about 15 years, and all of our clients who come on and work with us, we would spend a lot of time up front with a dedicated implementation team, understanding what your needs are and how we can help get to your needs. We would ensure that you have a dedicated team that would take you through the entire process and can answer all of those questions as you work through your implementation. I would also want to mention that we also have a lot of experience with professional services and integrating Geotab with other systems. And we work with clients all the time who want to take data from Geotab and pull it in and use it with other systems that they have in their business. So there's just some of the things to think about as we move through and get into working with our clients in detail. All right, as I mentioned, I wasn't going to take a lot of time. I wanted to leave a lot of time for questions, so I know that I wanted to give everybody a lot of time. So I'm going to just quickly open and look through some of the questions that we have here, and I would ask my colleagues who are helping me monitor if there's any questions in the Q&A. We can look at that through those as well. All right, so let me just jump to the top and answer some of the questions that are in the chat. So I think as one of the questions was listed, is it possible to connect dash cameras, spreader controllers, auxiliaries to an OEM telematics device? The short answer is no. One of the great things about Geotab is that using the Geotab solution, you do have lots of expansion options. So combining a OEM solution with some of those expansion options isn't there at the moment. But one of the benefits is if you are using an embedded solution and then want to jump in and use more advanced features, we have those available to you today. So today, if you want to use things like dash cameras or some of the other expansion equipment, you would require the use of a Geotab GO device. All right.
Another one. Are there any measurements that the GO 9 device is for?
Oh, yeah, sorry. And another question, are there other measurements the GO device would collect that the OEM would not collect? Yes, for the most part, and one of the things that's been really great about working with Geotab and our OEM partners is that we generally have a list of all of the various diagnostic trouble codes that would be available to you. And there's a pretty rich list for almost all the solutions of what kind of data you're going to get through. As I mentioned on one of the previous slides, with the Geotab device, you're going to get additional data through the curve logging algorithm and their accelerometer. You may get above and beyond the embedded solution itself. So there's going to be some differences, and one of the key things that we would want to understand as we work through clients is what are the data elements that you need, and are you going to get that through the embedded solution? And what we found is several of the clients that we've worked with recently, that the data they're getting from the embedded solution is enough to meet their needs. I hope that answers the question. Next question. One second. Let me see. More importantly, when you plan on getting the MTO's approved list for ELDs? Absolutely. So as we've been sharing with our customers on electronic logging devices, we expect Geotab has been communicating that they expect to have certification for the Canadian ELD solution by the end of Q1, which would be during the month of March. Based on the most recent information, we had an update from Geotab even as recently as last night that everything is on track, and we are confident that we will have that certification by the end of the month. I see jumping on the screen with me is my colleague and partner in crime, Dwayne Primo. For those of you who don't know Dwayne is the president of Northern BI. Dwayne, feel free to jump in here as I read through additional questions if there's anything you want to add.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Brian. Here to support. And yeah, I want to reiterate that last question. Certainly we're, if you're looking, if anyone on the call would like, a weekly update on this progress that Geotab is making towards certification, please let your CSM or BDM know. We're arming them with that information, and Geotab's committed, and we're confident they're gonna make it happen.
Absolutely. All right, some additional questions that came in. Somebody asked, can you have a hybrid fleet with some Geotab and some OEM? So as new trucks are added to the fleet, they use embedded. 100% yes. We've actually had a few clients who had been using the Geotab GO device for a long time who wanted to compare and contrast, and they actually put a GO device in a vehicle that had an embedded solution, and they ran both side by side. And that gave the customer an opportunity to run both the Geotab GO device as well as the OEM to see if they were going to get the data that they met. And one of the things that the question actually kind of alludes to as well is, as we all know, over the last few years with this pandemic, it's been tough with the semiconductor industry being stretched pretty thin. So getting our hands on new equipment has been challenging. If your vehicles are already equipped with an embedded solution, using that can be a really quick way to get in and get some telematics data, get access to some information in advance of using a GO device, if that's the direction that you end up going. So we have had a few customers who've used the embedded solution for a little while and then moved over to a GO device when they were able to get their hands on some GO device equipment. So great question. And yes, and we expect that as the years go on, we'll see more and more clients who have a complete mixture of original equipment, vehicle equipment from the OEMs, as well as GO devices, as well as potentially other third-party devices in their vehicles, in their fleets as well. So yeah, great question.
Yeah, and if I might add, I think that that's one of the key values that that we're bringing to the table, along with the Geotab platform, is the strength of the software that we all know and love and use, and being able to incorporate data feeds from multiple sources, which, it's fair to say that there's not a standard that the manufacturers are following in their efforts to embed telematics in their vehicles.
Absolutely. Next question, is there any discussion of Zamboni and integration with the Zamboni? That's not one that I've heard to date, but that's a great question. We're going to take that back and chat with our partners at Geotab and see if we can get some information on that. Yeah, that's not one that I've heard of so far, but there are a lot of partners as they continue to expose and work with Geotab. The list is growing pretty rapidly. Next question. Sorry, scroll down. Is it possible to set audible driver alerts with a trip when they violate certain rules? Great question. For those of you who aren't familiar with how Geotab may work, one of the benefits that Geotab offers is the ability to use audible driver alerts for in-cab or in-vehicle coaching. And as we would talk to clients about Geotab, we show a lot about rules and notifications so that as a driver would break a certain rule, say maybe speeding or doing some or another vehicle detection, we can actually set the device to make a beeping or other audible indicator that a rule is being broken. So the short answer to this question with respect to an OEM solution is it depends on the product. Currently, the GM solution does have an audible alert option for clients in the US only. We expect that the solution for GM vehicles will come to Canada within the next 12 months. or maybe even sooner. We have not seen audible alert options available for Ford or some of the other solutions, but again, still early days. It wouldn't surprise me if we see some of those come through, and we will take those away and check. But certainly for the GM product in the US, for sure. All right. So is there a difference in monthly cost for using the embedded solution as opposed to a Go 9? It depends on a couple of little things. Obviously, it depends on your individual contract and what you may be paying. But typically, the price per month for the embedded solutions is pretty comparable to what clients are paying for the Go 9, and it can change a little bit. Some of the rate plan options with the embedded solutions, we don't have quite as many as we do with the Go device, but there are a few, and so some of them do have a sort of equivalent of a base plan, and some have equivalent of a pro plan. So those rate plans can vary a little bit, but I think the key thing to know is that the prices are about the same for the embedded solution versus the Go device. Again, the big benefit is for the embedded solution, you're not putting out any hardware at the beginning. No cost. Next question talks about the Mac and the OEM versions. Are these options in trucks, or are they automatically installed? So the Mac vehicles that we listed, if they are in the vehicles listed, which I'm going from memory, 2019 and newer models, come with the solution already installed. The key thing to make sure that we can make that connection between Mac and Geotab is the Mac vehicles need to be warranty verified, and you need to have your warranty registered with Volvo Mac. Once that's done, if the vehicle is eligible, there's no equipment, it's already installed. Say there's some errors with Geotab and Smart Drive using the same ports. Yeah, so I would say it's an interesting question about, could you reuse the diagnostic port from the Go 9 and use the OEM to eliminate the errors? That's certainly a possibility. I'd say that's something we'd want to talk about and take a look at and see if that could eliminate the problem. But absolutely, there's no need to use a diagnostic port, and I think it's tied up in the use of the OEM solution. Another benefit, that diagnostic port is left available for your mechanics or those who help support your vehicles. All right. Says, does this complexify support? I like that word, complexify. So I can certainly speak from an OEM or from a Northern BI perspective. So NBI, we support all of the solutions. So if you're having an issue with whether it's your Go device or your OEM solution, your first point of contact is going to be Northern BI and our client solutions team. At the end of the day, if it's a problem, we may need to engage Geotab, and Geotab may need to work with an OEM. But at the end of the day, for our clients, it's one-stop shopping. They're going to come to us. We're going to work with the client and get to the answer. So in my view, it doesn't make it more complex, and I think it actually simplifies it for clients because they don't have to worry about going to a dealer or to the manufacturer. They can just come to NBI, and Geotab has great relationships with all these vendors and can get to those answers as quickly as possible. All right, I'm going to switch over to the Q&A for a second. Will Dodge ProMaster have embedded telematics? We haven't seen those vehicles listed yet, but I would say if you know and have the VINs that you're using, I'd say, connect with NBI and we can check. And depending on the make, model, and year, I haven't seen any Dodge or ProMasters listed yet, but it's certainly something that we can go back and review that list of vehicle VINs with Geotab and confirm if that solution is available. And I think that's going to be a pretty standard situation as we see throughout 2022 and into the coming years as more and more manufacturers make their embedded solution available. We'll see more opportunities and more options for clients. All right, just checking with my team. I think those are all the questions that I saw. getting all kinds of nods, so I must have. Oh, I see. Isuzu. Somebody asked about Isuzu. Do we know about their OEM status? Haven't heard any information about Isuzu making their solution available yet. But yeah, it's still early. I haven't heard anything else about any new partners coming this year. But we'll add that to the list to review with Geotab. All right. Dwayne, did you have anything else? I want to make sure that we get everybody out of here. We're well ahead of schedule, so which is great. I like to be efficient with my time.
Absolutely. No, I jumped on to help support the Q&A, and Brian, you had all the answers. So I do see we have another question from Francisco. Does he have a solution? And I think we'll have to add that to the list of Isuzu, Zamboni, like the other manufacturers. As Brian noted, we know Geotab is actively working with the OEMs, and some of that is contingent on the OEM. The companies, each OEM needs to develop their own telematics platform, and then the APIs to allow Geotab to integrate the data. Commercial relationships and so on need to be established. So we know Geotab's actively working on that with a number of providers, but based on the questions we're getting, we will make sure that we're keeping through our email updates and regular channels, we're keeping everyone up to date on new developments from Geotab on support of different manufacturers. Absolutely. And I think, the list of current manufacturers, there was a slide in this presentation that was sent out that has that list of the current manufacturers that we will there.
Yeah, and a couple of things I can add there. If you want to connect with us, we have a couple of options. One, if you want to provide a list of your VINs, we can actually work with our partners at Geotab and actually go through, and they can confirm by VIN which of the vehicles may be eligible. In addition, we do have basically reseller or documents from each of the embedded solutions that sort of list the models. And so we can provide those out to folks as well. There's quite a few of them, basically as each new solution comes on board. So right now there isn't one single list with every vehicle, make, model, and year listed, but we can get that information for you. Either if you want to provide a VIN list, we can get that data to you, and as we send this out, we'll have some information to each of the embedded solutions, and you can click through and it'll have some information on which models are eligible. All right. Yeah, so another question came in. If we start with an OEM product but later want to add in dash cams, are we able to upgrade to a Go 9? The answer is yes, and we're starting to see some customers make that transition as they're starting with. They may be new to telematics, still learning kind of what the product can do for their business. They start with an embedded telematics solution, and then eventually, if they want to add additional functionality, including things like a dash camera or other expansion capabilities, you can definitely put in a Go device later, and simply just add in the additional hardware as we go through. So certainly an option there. And I think we'll see that mix and match of both OEM and Geotab hardware in fleets for some time.
Yeah. I have a question for you, Brian. How long have we seen it taking to activate, to turn on an OEM telematics solution?
Yeah, it certainly varies a little bit based on the manufacturer, but depending on, like, for example, with the Ford solution, we've activated probably more of those. And once the initial registration process with Ford is done, it really can take anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes to have a vehicle up and running and showing on the map. It can be that quick, which has been one of the things that some of our clients have told us they really appreciate. They can take on new vehicles and then have the embedded solution turned on within a matter of hours. For the other solutions, I can speak to the Volvo Mac solution. It's usually a few hours once a vehicle, assuming the vehicle is warranty registered, and the GM solution has been an hour or two at the most. It's generally been pretty quick.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian.
All right, another question came in. Is there anything that needs to be physically activated from the vehicle, or is it all done remotely? For the most part, it's all done remotely. There's the only thing that needs to be done. Typically, everything is done remotely. So there's a couple of registration steps you have to follow depending on the manufacturer. So for Ford and for GM, you have to follow a little bit of a registration process there. GM does have a process if you have if a vehicle, depending on whether the vehicle is OnStar equipped or not, they have a special, what they call their blue button press process. It's a tongue twister. But that's about the only product you actually have to go to the vehicle. Everything else is done remotely. And a related question, is there any differences between Carrier, Bell, and TELUS? The answer is no. All of the embedded solutions, the Carrier is sort of comes with the solution. So the data and the underlying Carrier is sort of embedded directly in the solution. And generally at MBI, we don't even know who the Carrier is. And the solution is just available and can be connected to Geotab and is available directly to the end users. Second, looks like I had another question come in. If I'm in contract for a Go device, can I place it in another vehicle and activate an OEM solution in the original vehicle? Or is the device tied to the one vehicle? Yeah, great question. A little bit of nuance about specific contracts, but in short, absolutely. If you have a relationship with Northern BI and you want to move a Go device from one vehicle to another, that's certainly fine for the clients that we are directly engaged with. And if you want to use an OEM solution, that's generally fine. There's no contract reasons why you can't do that. We do have some clients on the call here today who may be engaged with other related providers, and so there may be a few specific questions we'd have to answer on that, but in general, it's not an issue at all.
Another question in the chat.
Another question in the chat. Does the OEM solution provide anything that the Geotab does not? I'd say, yeah, the main thing that the OEM solution provides is that it's already built into the vehicle. So no hardware needed. That is the primary benefit that the solution provides. Typically, what we've seen up to this point is as far as data goes, the data that you're getting through the Go device, the data you're getting through the OEM solution is essentially the same information. If the data is being pushed through the vehicle's diagnostic port, in general, a Geotab device can read that data and use it as part of the overall Geotab solution. So from a data perspective, there really isn't any difference that we've come across. But what I can say is obviously the hardware is the big benefit with the embedded solution.
Yeah. And the only thing I'll add to that is, generally speaking, a Go device is giving you some data that it's gathering from its own sensors, like accelerometer, and the auxiliaries and other add-ons, plus everything it's reading from the engine diagnostic port. Generally speaking, if you're pulling right from the OEM solution, you're going to get what the Geotab device was pulling from the diagnostic port. So it's not going to give you the G-force data that you might have expected from the Go device. But then there are other data sources around that sort of information from the OEM, somewhat depending upon the OEM as well. So that's why, we do really like to start in consulting with you on which solution's best with what you're trying to achieve, so that we can recommend the right solution. And although the other thing to add to Brian's answer on that one is, although the data sets are very similar, the data frequency is somewhat different. One of the things that Geotab does do is the curve logic, which a Go device will sort of onboard change the frequency of the data that it's sending depending on what's happening in the vehicle. Generally speaking, we're seeing the OEM solutions are time-based, so it's going to be a set interval of data versus that curve logic, which is a bit of a nuance. It's still the same data, but the frequency can vary And again, we have all those specifics by manufacturer, by data sets that we can get into with anyone individually to confirm a recommendation. And also, to Brian's note, the barrier to entry on trying OEM to see how well it satisfies the requirements is pretty low, because you can activate it, in the same day essentially, and within hours, try it, and and it can be deactivated as quickly, typically, to switch for another solution if you wish. So lots of flexibility.
One last question that came in. Somebody asked, how does the tracking work if I go into a remote area with no cell coverage? Will it store locally and upload when I'm back in a service zone? Sounds like a question that came from an existing Geotab client, because that's exactly how the Go device works. And a great question. And I will say, I don't know the answer to that question for the embedded solution. So that's what I'm going to have to go and do some research on and confirm. But to the point for the Go device, the Go device does operate, as does the OEM solution, on cellular connectivity. So if you are outside of a cellular range, you are going to not report on the map for a period of time. But the Geotab device does continue to log data even when you're outside of cellular data, and you can store up to 80,000 logs of data, which is a lot of logs of data, and then that data will be available and be uploaded once you're back in cell coverage. But yeah, I don't know the answer for the embedded solution. We'll have to dig into that and then find out. But great question. Great question. All right, just checking. I think that's all of the questions. I don't see any other questions.
So we'll send a follow-up email with answers to the questions.
All right. Okay. Well, this has been a fantastic session. I really appreciate everybody's questions and engagement today. Just a few reminders when we're done here. We will be doing a draw for our Yeti tumbler. So we've got 10 of those that we're going to be giving away. And we'll be informing the winners by email shortly. And when we're done, we'll also have a link to this recording. We'll get the questions and answers out to everybody, as well as a short survey. And we would appreciate you taking a quick moment and providing that survey. If there's anything else that we didn't get to on this call you wanted to ask, feel free to reach out to us either directly or through our website, and we'll be happy to answer any additional questions. I can say that here at MBI, we're hoping to do more of these webinars throughout 2022. So please keep your eyes peeled for additional opportunities, because we'll have more of these sessions throughout the year. And with that, I think we'll close the session today. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to connecting with you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Dwayne. Thanks, everyone.